So thank you, Kirsty, and thanks for all you do. Actually, you can be a real pain at times, but your heart's always in the right place, and I always respect your views. So thanks for coming along this morning, and thanks for introducing me. And again, thanks to the council and also Spokes for helping to organise this morning. And thanks to the council staff for organising the food for us. I'm not entirely sure what was on my roll, but it tasted pretty good. Just now marks around a year since I became what Councillor Day promised was disappeared. He promised there would be interim transport convener, and even suggested I would never actually have to chair a transport committee. But a year later, I'm still here, and in fact, in that time, I'm about to start working with the third Transport Minister. Yeah, and I have to say, the abuse that the last Transport Minister got online was absolutely acceptable. Some real homophobia, actually, which I never thought I'd see directed at a politician in this country. So my thoughts are certainly with him just now. So things do move slowly in Edinburgh. I've lived here since '96, and we've been talking a lot about change. Recently, I was down in the Parliament talking with Jeremy Balfour about our plans for George Street, and he said when he was a councillor here in 2006, his maiden speech was on George Street and whether or not it should be pedestrianised. And this Thursday in the Transport Committee, we'll be talking about that again. So things do move slowly, but as Kirsty says, it does feel that they're moving towards a tipping point. So this week we will start the process of addressing hopefully we'll get agreement at the Transport Committee to address the safety issues at the Kings Road junction, deal with the issues that contributed to those 2 deaths. And of course the other death recently in Edinburgh was when I was first elected in 2017 at the top of the Lothian Road, and 6 years later we've started the design work for that. I mean, an incredible way, but I think I'm really grateful that work's now started. CC Wells underway and delivering real benefits already, even though it's not complete. And it's great to see Aileen here, who's part of that team, at the stall over there. She does fantastic work for us. Last week, in the wider transport realm, Trams to Newhaven launched. My colleague Councillor Day cut the ribbon on that, which was fantastic. Lothian buses, pretty soon, will start the business of decarbonising its fleet. 720 buses, £500,000 each, so it's a non-trivial exercise, but they'll start that quite soon. Time up. And there's some way to go yet, actually. But the other change that's happening is around the climate, and I think more and more, people accept that it's a real issue we have to deal with, and we know that dealing with transport and fixing issues in transport in Edinburgh are part of dealing with the climate emergency. And something I'll say about the climate emergency is I thought that the climate sceptics had largely been put to bed, but as we get closer to delivering the changes we need to hit net zero, I see a resurgence of some of these ill-informed and actually denial of reality coming forward. And it's something I'm really wary about as we progress some of the schemes going forward, that we will meet resistance from people who don't think climate change is real or something that we have to deal with, or it's some giant conspiracy. And I think that is a real threat for us going forward. And I guess the question is, why are we doing these things? So why are we going through this sustainable transport revolution? And I think partly it's because of the inequalities in Edinburgh. I mean, it's depending on how much money you have, depending on how mobile you are as an individual, whether you've got disabilities, and also depending on where you live in Edinburgh, your access to transport is starkly different. And that's something we're quite keen to address. And obviously, using bikes and using walking and wheeling is absolutely a key part of addressing those inequalities. Edinburgh is a congested city, and we have to deal with that. We've got to hit net zero by 2030, and we've also got to reduce traffic volumes in the city by 30% by 2030. All non-trivial tasks, and at the same time we're being helped by the fact that before Christmas the council set aside land to build an additional 37,000 houses in Edinburgh over the next 10 years or so. So huge challenges, but we'll get there with it, I'm sure. So what we've also seen over the past year, I think, is a change of culture. So some of the gains we've seen aren't, although they're down to me, they're down to the fact that we've now got a committee that works together, I think, quite constructively. And I think I spotted Cllr Miller here, and she's actually, Councillor Miller, sorry, and she's a key part of the kind of debates we're now having on the Transport Committee. And I really do value her contributions and the contributions from the other councillors on the committee. I think we're working closer than ever with communities. I'm out at Cllr Community Council next week speaking to them about the LTN there. And I think more and more on the committee we're viewing transport as a system. So we're not stuck in this endless debate about cars versus bikes. We're talking about public transport much more, and we're talking about walking much more, walking and wheeling much more. And we also get that if we get transport right, it'll help grow our economy, help bring jobs to Edinburgh, and help bring better jobs to Edinburgh with better pay, better conditions. When you look at some of what the Transport Committee has achieved over the last year, we've now got a more rigorous approach to enforcing antisocial parking. We're ready for the pavement parking ban when it comes in December, touch wood. We no longer subsidise the charging of electric vehicles in the city. We've rolled out 2 LTNs, and we're in the consultation phase of them just now, and we're currently undertaking engagement exercises on 2 20-minute neighbourhoods, and those are going really well. We've approved plans to reduce bus journey times in the city by 25%, and we've doubled the road, footpath and cycleway maintenance budget. And this week we'll talk about how we maintain cycleways and footpaths better in terms of making sure they're clear and safe for people. But the big thing we're consulting on just now is our action plan. So we've got, and I'm going to list these I'm afraid, we've got the Active Travel Action Plan, Public Transport Action Plan, Road Safety Action Plan, Parking Action Plan, Air Quality Action Plan, and they're all held together with the Circulation Plan. There's a lot of stuff happening there, but officers have done a really good job at bringing it all together into a single narrative. And these will help underpin our economy, they'll help improve well-being in the city, they'll help us hit net zero, and they'll also help us deal with poverty in the city. So these are real cost-cutting things. So the consultation is still live until July sometime, and we've not taken part already, and I'm sure many of you have. I would advise you to do so as soon as possible. So I guess a lot of you here today are interested in Active Travel Action Plan. So I'll be honest with you, there's good stuff happening in Edinburgh, and we've got fantastic plans. Edinburgh always has fantastic plans, but we are lagging behind in terms of delivery. So I think getting the Active Travel Action Plan approved, hopefully improved as well, will be the next step in terms of actually delivering this stuff on the ground. So I think in the past, in so many ways, not just in transport, Edinburgh has been a real leader, and I think just now we're lagging behind a little. I think the Active Travel Action Plan is our vehicle for doing that. So here we're talking about over £1 billion of investment over the next decade or so, £250 million of that in walking and wheeling, 250 million in cycling-only projects, and 500 in combined projects. It's about making everyday walking and cycling easier, safer, and more convenient than it is right now. And for cycling, what that will mean is that most people, the vast majority of people, will be within 400 metres of the cycle lane once their home will be within 400 metres of a cycle lane once this project's complete. And so that will enable people to move around the city, hopefully safer, and hopefully all ages of people. So it's not just middle-aged men like me, we've got families like Kirsty was talking about, we need to use Active Travel much more. So that hopefully will be transformative. So there is challenges though, and obviously the biggest issue we face in everything the council tries to do right now is funding actually. But on active travel and in transport generally, what I will say is we will spend the money as fast as we get it, absolutely, and we're absolutely committed as well to simplifying some of the legal processes we have to go through, which fundamentally are not fit for purpose. And really there I'm talking about TRO process, and also redetermination orders. So these are cumbersome. We spend a lot of time getting legal advice on very simple issues, and they're also used by people who want to obstruct and delay what we're doing as well. So whilst we have to respect people's rights, this legislation has to be fit for purpose. And it's good to see Sarah Boyer, MSP here today to get that message, and hopefully take that back with her. So just wind up, you'll be glad to hear. So I think that in the last year we've got a lot done, but I think really it's been a year where we've been getting ready for the next 4 years, and hopefully we'll see more and more difference on the ground. So there is much more to do, I'm not complacent about that. And I like by saying that in the last couple of meetings I've went to, where I've done evening meetings, people have spoke about the era when David Begg was the transport convener, that was his title, as a time when there was radical change in the city, but that was done in partnership with residents. I won't talk about the congestion charge referendum, but that was done in partnership with residents. And I think as a city, we have to try to get back to that time where we can bring forward radical change, we can have open dialogue with residents, and we can take it forward, and we can actually deal with these problems I talked about at the start, about hitting net zero, about reducing traffic volumes by 30% in the city, and actually dealing with congestion as well. So, and I hope you'll be on that journey with me over the next 4 years and beyond once we get past this administration and into the next. So thank you, and thanks for coming along this morning. And I'll say one last thing, I do a shout out, please. Is Sarah McIntosh here? No? No, she's not here. Okay. I was hoping she was going to cycle in from Musselburgh this morning, but she's maybe still on her way. Shona McIntosh, sorry. Oh, sorry. So well done to Shona. Well done to Shona, because she's cycling from Musselburgh this morning, just to get her free roll from us here in Edinburgh. So thank you. So I'm going to pass back to Christian.